Here we have the open woven wheel rose. So these are pretty neat. What I used to do was make a woven wheel rose and then put like French knots on top, which is also an option. But I really like this method instead because you get a lot more depth here. You get this kind of impression of these really being inside of the rose versus if you do them on top, which I obviously didn't do them on top of here. I'm sorry. Um, uh, it basically looks like you put French knots on top of your woven wheel rose. So I just prefer this. I just think it looks more neat. So here we go. So we're gonna start with our straight stitches. It's basically the same thing as a woven wheel rose, except these stitches are not touching. So for this instance, so here we are, what it looks like with French knots inside. Here I did straight stitch inside, or satin stitch, excuse me. I was gonna just leave this one empty, just to see what it looks like. I don't know. Let's see what happens. But if you do want to put something inside, I would recommend doing that before starting the weaving. You can do it after you do the spokes if you want. And obviously have them in a circle, whatever you choose to put in there. But we're just going to weave like we're doing a regular woven wheel rose. So let's see if this is just going to collapse in on itself because there's nothing in the center. I'm not really sure. It's an experiment. Looks like we're going to have a little hole there, right? Similar to regular woven wheel rose, I definitely prefer doing this stitch out of a hoop clamp so that I can rotate my hoop and not my wrists. But that is harder to film. So if you notice, you can probably see a little bit my finger. I push up from below, and that kind of helps me. When I don't do that, it's easier to like stab the fabric because it's flat here, but when I add that bump, it kind of makes this the high ground. So it's easier to weave. Oopsies, oops. You see what I did? Like the worst thing you can do to a woven wheel rose. I stabbed it. But sometimes it can just be fixed by doing something like this. Like just tuck it back in. That's a tough one. It's really tough when you do that to like the center of a rose, because if you actually want to fix it, you have to like unweave the entire rose. Who wants to do that? This is kind of interesting. Look, if you want your fabric to show through, it would especially look cool if there was a big difference between the fabric color and the rose color. Like if you're doing this on black, that would look very cool. Or even on white, it would just really stand out. So that's pretty much it. I'll just continue so you can see how this is finished. The other day I actually did something like kind of like a chain stitch rose inside of woven wheel rose. Or was it the opposite? I have to think. But they can definitely be used together. Either way would work, really. Oh my. Oops. Oh my goodness. Come on. All right, I think I'm gonna finish here because it's getting a little dicey trying to find those. Well, I think I can get under here. Sometimes I get nervous towards the edge because I don't want to stab anything I'm not supposed to. So I'm gonna go down here, tuck under there, and then I'm gonna add a stitch on top to hide that guideline that was like a little bit longer than the others. Something like that. That's pretty. I like it. It's different. Give a little hole in there. Hi, fabric. All right, that's it.